Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to another day of kindergarten. I hope you had a great weekend. And I really enjoyed last week, the time on Wednesday that I got to meet with some of you for our short 10-minute meetings with Mrs. R. So that was fun to get to know you a little bit better. And for those of you that haven't had a chance to sign up for a 10-minute meeting with Mrs. R, you can ask your parents to sign you up. They're on Wednesdays. And you get to just hang out with me for 10 minutes and we get to visit and chat. So it's just something fun to look forward to. Although this week we won't be doing them because we don't have school this Wednesday, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you and we're gonna go ahead and get started with our language arts this morning. And so let me go ahead and jump over there real quick and share my screen. Okay. So let me make this nice and big so everybody can see it. All right, so you're gonna go ahead and get your kindergarten binder. Go ahead and get that out. And you're gonna go ahead and put that to the side right now. For this week, I'm gonna introduce to you a new letter. And so this is our new letter for the week. So does anybody know what letter this is? It is the letter I, and I says I as in igloo. Okay, well, let's take a look at some other letters that have the I sound. Let me move this out and I'll put that picture right there and then we can look at the words too. Okay, so I says I as in insect, and instruments, so you can hear that I sound at the beginning. Insect, instruments. Iguana. Invitation, which is sometimes when you go to a party or something like that, or a get together, you get invited to something. And so that's what an invitation is. Sometimes people just say, like they'll give you an invitation, they'll just ask you to come over, and sometimes they'll send you a letter or a card. Ink, oops, let me move these ones over so we can see these ones too. Inch, ink, so an inch. On your ruler, if you look on one side of a ruler, they have these little lines, and each line represents an inch. So that's how we measure how tall something is. In ink, people used to use feathers because they didn't have pencils and pens like we do now, crayons. So they would use a quill, which is a big long feather, and they would dip it into an inkwell. This is what that's called. And they'd have ink, and then they would write on paper. And here's an igloo, which an igloo is a house made of giant cubes of ice, well, packed snow, that's cut into shapes to form an igloo. And I guess I've heard that they're nice and cozy on the inside. And this is the word in, like I'm sitting inside my tent. So I'm sure there's lots more words you could think of with the I sound in them. But those are just a few, okay? So as we always do, we're going to get our binder and we're going to go ahead and turn to the page where we write our name, okay? So I'm going to need my black Expo marker, which is dry erase is another word for it. It looks like this. I need my eraser too. So they call those Expo markers, but they're also called dry erase markers. So if you ever hear someone say Expo marker, then that's what they're talking about. They're talking about dry erase markers, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and write my name 4 times, just like we always do. So go ahead and get started with that. This is our warm up for our brains and our hands to make those connections between our hands and our brains, because our brain tells our hands what to do. So yeah, just gonna warm all those connections up. Your brain's kind of like a computer. It's got all these connections in there, and it's like a busy, busy freeway inside your brain. And all these little freeways going every which direction, here and there and everywhere, to control all the things that go inside, happen inside your body. So our brains are pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Okay, so now I know you probably aren't done with writing your name. Yeah, Mrs. R sometimes goes kind of fast. So you know, don't get frustrated. You can always pause your video, and when you pause it, then you can finish writing your name, and then you can push play again when you're ready to move on, okay? So don't get frustrated if Mrs. R seems like I'm going fast. The cool thing for you is that you can control the speed by pushing pause and then finishing your work before we start the next section, okay? So I'm finished writing my name, so I'm going to go ahead and erase my eraser. Just like that. This is really good. Okay, so now we're going to turn to I Know My Alphabet section. It looks like this, and so you're going to go all the way to find your letter I. So hopefully your mom or dad put your letter I page in for you. So here's our capital I. All right, so again, you're going to need your Expo or your dry erase marker, and we're going to do this together. So let's take a look. So to make the capital I, it's pretty easy. I'm going to turn that light off so you can see it better. Sorry, it's dark, but I don't want that shine on there. So you start at the top line and go down to the bottom line like you're making a number 1, and then you cross at the top and you cross at the bottom. Pretty easy, huh? So you start that top line and go down to the bottom. So you know there's one line here, the top line, then the dotted middle line, and then the straight bottom line. So you just go from the top to the bottom. Make sure you touch those lines. Cross at the top and cross at the bottom. Okay? All the way from top to bottom. I is a pretty easy letter to do. And then down here, you do it all by yourself. Make a number 1. All the way from the top and touch the bottom, and then cross at the top and bottom. All right? So everywhere there's a dot, I want you to practice making them. Okay, there we go. Just like that. See? That wasn't too hard. Now, if I'm going too fast, you know what to do, right? You just push pause. Okay, so for this next part, you're going to need your Play-Doh. So you can get your Play-Doh out when you're ready. And then this one's going to be an easy one to make because it's just a lot of straight lines. So let me go ahead and move that up because I need space to make my snakes, right? And you guys are making your snakes. I'm making my snake. And then we're going to do our capital I. By now, you guys should be pretty good at making these Play-Doh snakes, right? Because we've done it so much. Okay, so there is that. And then here's the top. And oops, let me make that a little bit bigger. Okay, perfect. Make those stick together there. All right, so there's my letter I. So I'm going to trace it just like how I would write it. I'm going to trace it with my finger and go at the top to the bottom. And then I'm going to cross at the top and cross at the bottom. Okay, so that's all you got to do for capital I. Pretty easy. All right, so if I'm going too quick, you know you just need to push pause. Okay, so I'm going to put my Play-Doh away and I'm going to erase my eyes. Okay, so now we're going to flip the page and we're going to go to a lowercase I. This is the one with the dot on the top. So this one's a little bit different than the capital because we're going to start at the middle line. So a lot of the lowercase letters start at the dotted middle line. So that's why I'm going to start with my marker. I'm going to start there and make a number 1. So I made a number 1. It was smaller, though. It starts at the middle line. A lot of the lowercase letters start at the middle line. Okay, and then above it, I'm just going to put a dot like that. That's lowercase I. Start at the middle line and go to the bottom and make a dot. Start at the middle line and go to the bottom and make a dot. Middle to bottom and a dot. Okay, now here you're going to do it all by yourself. So start at the middle and go to the bottom and make a dot. Middle to bottom, dot. Middle to bottom, dot. Middle to bottom, dot. Pretty easy, huh? Letter I's are one of the easier letters to do for sure. Okay, I'm gonna roll out my snakes. Now, I don't want you to hurry when you're practicing your letters. I know Mrs. R might go fast sometimes, but you know, Mrs. R's been doing this for a long time, writing my letters. If you've been writing your letters as long as I have, you would be pretty quick too, okay? So if I go too fast, I want you actually to take your time and do neat work, because if we don't take our time and do neat work, we form bad habits. And so we want to have nice handwriting. Okay? It's really important. So if I ever go too fast, you just push pause, and then you can take your time, because I don't want hurried work, which is really messy. Now this one is interesting because I have to make a ball. I can't really make a snake. I have to make a ball. And then I'm just going to press it down with my finger for the dot. Isn't that funny? So I had to make a ball and then press it down for the dot. So when we make our lowercase I, we start at the middle line, we go down to the bottom line, and then we make a dot, just like that. Okay? All right. So I'm going to put my Play-Doh away. I'm going to erase my letters. Now, this week is a little different because we don't have new sight words to learn this week. This week is a review week. We're doing a lot of review in the month of November. So what I'm going to do with you now is I'm going to put out, we're going to practice some of our old sight words, and this will give you a chance if you haven't learned all of them yet, which is totally fine because there's a lot. There's this great big pile here. You can't see, but it's quite a bit. So let me go ahead and lay a card down, and if you know it, you can say it, okay? So I'll say it first, and then you can say it after me. So I'll go first, and then you repeat. On, so, at, me, and, you, the, like, see, we, to, like I go to the store, not the number 2. A, my, is, no, can, he, and I. And it's not like your I that you see with, it's the like I like you. It's the word I, okay? All right, so what you're gonna need to do next is get out your listening and writing backpack prayer book, okay? So it looks like this. If you don't have this yet, then go ahead and push pause and go grab your book. All right, so in your book, you're going to turn to page 28. It's a 2 and an 8. 28. Whoa, that's too big. Hold on, let me go back just a little bit. A 2 and an 8. And I think this one I can turn away because it doesn't have that shiny plastic over the top of it. Okay. So letter I, remember we're working with the letter I this week. So we have some pictures here. We have an igloo, an iguana. Ooh, and what is this, you guys? Insect, okay? It's actually a praying mantis, but they call it an insect. Okay, so let's go ahead and read our sentences, and remember the period is there to tell the reader to stop. Remember, that tells the reader stop. Okay, so we're gonna read this first, and then we'll change the pictures out and read those words too. So let's point with our finger. So get your pointer finger ready. I wanna see everyone pointing. Okay, it's really important when we're beginning to learn to read that you point to each word as we read. Okay, so let's do this together. Ready? Here we go. I is for igloo. Okay, now we're going to put iguana in that space. I is for iguana, which is a type of lizard. I is for insect. Okay, so let's read these 3 sentences again. Let's do it. Let's read it a little bit faster this time. Okay, here we go. I is for igloo. I is for iguana. I is for insect. Okay. So I think I'm going to start my coloring today. So I'm going to get my crayons. So if you don't have your crayons out, you're going to need those too. Okay, guys. All right. So I think I'm going to pick this really cool lime green. I really like this color. And I'm going to color in my capital I. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you go ahead and color yours too. Get out whatever color you like. And now you're going to color inside the lines. Remember, Mrs. R said at some point, I'm going to see your workbook. And I don't want to see any scribbling because that tells me you weren't doing your best. And Mrs. R wants you to try your best. It doesn't have to be perfect. Doing your best is different than doing something perfectly because nobody can do anything perfectly. We can do a really good job, but to do something perfectly, that's just not possible. So we want to do our very best, okay? And that's different than doing it perfect. Mrs. R doesn't expect you to do it perfect, but I expect you to try your very best. All right, so in the igloo, although it is probably white because it's packed snow, I'm going to trace it in blue just to make it have a little bit of color. I mean, in real life, obviously, the igloo would be white, but it's kind of boring on the page to me to just look plain white. So I'm going to add some outline. I'm not really going to color it in. I'm just going to trace these lines like that. And then it kind of gives the feeling that we're somewhere really cold. Although some icebergs in different places in the world, they actually have ice that looks that color, although the ice isn't really that color, but it looks like a beautiful blue shade of blue, so it's kind of cool. Okay, iguana, I'm gonna color my iguana green. I'm gonna pick this kind of like jungle green. I don't know what they call it, but to me, I call it jungle green. Iguanas are kind of cool critters. They live in different places in the world. Some are marine iguanas that live near the ocean. They eat like the algae and the different seaweeds and things that grow or come up on against the rocks. So it's really interesting. And then of course there's iguanas like land iguanas that don't live near the ocean. There's just more than one kind of iguana, which is kind of cool. Sometimes if you go to the pet store, you can see that they have iguanas there too. Okay, so there's an iguana and then a praying mantis. I believe, I'm not exactly sure what color a praying mantis is, but I'm going to take my best guess. I'm going to color them. I think they're a shade of green, but I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to say for sure. I think they are. Okay, trace the wings. Yeah, praying mantis are very interesting insects. They eat other insects. So, probably a scary thing for another insect to see a praying mantis. So like, uh-oh, I better take off. I don't want to get gobbled up. Okay, so let's go ahead and trace our eyes. And again, for the capital I, we just start at the top and go to the bottom and cross and cross. Start at the top, go to the bottom, cross, cross. Start at the top and go to the bottom and cross and cross. Start at the top, go to the bottom and cross and cross. You got it right. Start at the top and go to the bottom, cross and cross. You guys got this. I really do. You guys are really smart. Okay, so now lowercase I starts at the middle line, and then you pick your pencil up and put a dot, just like that. Always start that middle line. You don't want to go to the top line. It's the middle line to the bottom. Middle line to the bottom and give it a dot. That dot should be nice and round. Not too big either. We don't want a big dot at the top, okay? We don't want a dot that looks like this. That is not okay. That is not how we do a lowercase I. Okay, so don't put the big dot on. Okay, so now Mrs. R is going to do a little activity here with you. So I'm going to say a word, and let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. Okay, so I'm going to say a word, and you give me a thumbs up if it has the I sound, okay? And give me a thumbs down if it doesn't have the I sound. You ready? Okay. Igloo. Would you give that a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Igloo. Thumbs up, right? Because it has the I sound. Okay, here's the next word. Turtle. Turtle. Does turtle have the I sound at the beginning? No. How about inside? Inside. Does inside have the I sound at the beginning? Yes. How about itchy? I feel all itchy and scratchy. Itchy. Yes. Horse. Does horse have the I sound? No. How about ink? Ink. Does ink have the I sound? Yes. How about inch? Does inch have the I sound? Inch. Yep. Camera. Does camera have the I sound? Camera. No, that has a k sound. In. Does in have the I sound at the beginning? Yes. How about bed? Does bed have the I sound at the beginning? No, bed has the B sound at the beginning, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, so now what we're going to do is, let me share my screen with you again. And we're going to do our journal. Okay, so everybody, grab your November journals because we need to do some writing. We're going to do some writing now. All right, so you're going to need your pencil and eraser and then your crayons, of course, because we're going to do some coloring. So we've already talked about for Thanksgiving dinner, we talked about for Thanksgiving dinner, we have turkey and mashed potatoes, so we circled those two. And then this is my writing. Yours might look different. I'm just reading you mine. I am thankful for my family and pets. Those were the two things I chose. And then here's my family. I forgot to draw the pets. So today we're going to write about a turkey has. A turkey has. So down here are some choices. Feathers, legs, wings, wattle, which is that red thing that hangs down under their chin, or it kind of actually is up on their face a little bit, and beak. Okay, feathers, legs, wings, wattle, and beak. So you can choose one or two things. It's kind of up to you. I think I'm going to choose, I'm going to circle it, feathers, because they have kind of cool looking feathers. And let's see, wattle, because that's such a funny little word. Okay, but first I'm going to draw my picture before we do any of the writing. So I just circled the two things I'm going to write about, so we won't worry about that right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a turkey. Oh boy, this is going to be kind of tricky. Let me try my best though. Okay, let's do the turkey head, and then you have neck, right? And then the body. So just trying to copy the turkey down here, really. And then some wings. And then turkey has feathers. Great big feathers that kind of go behind them like that. Huh? Oh boy, it's going to be a lot of coloring, you guys. These turkeys have lots of feathers, don't they? So just keep going around with my turkey, feathers, like that. One more. And then I gotta give my turkey some feet. And I'm gonna give him a beak and two eyes. And a little waddle down like that. Okay. So I'm even gonna label them because I know down here at the bottom, so you can see down here at the bottom, I have the word for feathers and I have the word for wattle, so I know how to spell them. So I'm even going to put an arrow and point so people know. So I'm going to look at the word right here and write it. F-E-A-T-H-E-R-S. So those are the feathers. And then I'm going to put an arrow and point to that. And then I'm going to write the word wattle, which is right here down at the bottom. So I don't have to try to figure out how to spell that. I just copy it, W-A-T-T-L-E. Okay, so now I've labeled my picture too. You don't have to label yours, but it's kind of just fun to do that. Okay, so for my turkey, I need brown. I think to do the body, I'm going to outline this first. Now, if Mrs. R is ahead of you and you feel like you're behind, just go ahead and push pause. And go ahead and pause your video. So I'm going to color my turkey body. And I'm not going to color the beak of the wattle. The wattle is red, actually. And their beaks, I'm just going to color the beak kind of an orange color, I think. So let me color that wattle first. That wattle is a funny name. Just this little funny flap of skin that hangs down on the turkey's face. I don't know. I'm sure it has a purpose. I guess I could look it up and find out, huh? It's the cool thing about the internet nowadays. You can, if you don't know something, you can look it up. Okay, and then, of course, I'm going to color in the turkey feathers. And this one red. And then I'm going to color this one on this side red too. Like that. And then orange. That. And obviously your picture doesn't have to look like mine, you guys. You can do, you know, whatever you want to do. You can just draw the turkey's face if you want. You don't have to do as quite as detailed as Mrs. R. You know, your picture is going to look different than mine, and that's okay. Yours doesn't have to look like mine. This is just how I wanted to do mine. And it doesn't mean that my way is the only way, the right way. However you draw your turkey is up to you. It's just like how this person drew this turkey. That's what they thought it looked like to them, but it doesn't mean that yours has to look exactly the same. Does that make sense? So don't think that just because your turkey doesn't look the same that yours isn't good. Yours is good too. It's just different. Just like mine is different from theirs. Okay? No two people are going to have the exact same picture because each one of us is very different. And your art is going to look different than my art. And my art's going to look different than someone else's art. So, okay? So don't expect that yours is going to look exactly like mine. Everybody is unique and different. This one. And let's see here. Orange. See over here. And I think the last feather. I can do it in yellow. I was trying to make a pattern. It didn't quite work, but that's okay. All right, and my turkey can't be floating in the air, of course. So I'm going to put my turkey round underneath my turkey. Normally I would draw that with a pencil, but I forgot to do that. So because that would not make sense to have our turkeys just floating in the air. Okay, there we go. So I put some grass too. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to get ready for my writing. Now, again, if you're still working on your picture, this is a great time to take a break, push pause, and finish your picture first, okay, before you start the writing. Or if you just need a break, you can push pause and come back to this later. All right, so now that we've finished our picture, we're going to do our writing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to trace. Let's see if I can get that. Ooh, oh, that's a little bit too big. We're going to trace a turkey hat. So they've already got the first part done for us. So capital A, and the rest of these are lowercase. turkey. They've already spelled the word for us. So all we have to do is trace it. And then you notice they have finger spaces in between the words too, which is nice. They already did that for us too. A turkey has, and then I want to say a turkey has has feathers. A turkey has feathers, and the word is right down here at the bottom. So all I have to do is put my finger and make my finger space and look at that word right there. So you see the words right here, and you have the same page as me. A turkey has feathers. So I'm going to copy this word, F-E-N-T-H-E-R-S. A turkey has feathers and a wattle. A turkey has feathers and 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 a turkey has feathers and a, or lowercase, a wattle. So another finger space, and it's right here the word, so all I gotta do is copy it. W-A-T-T-E. So let's read what we have. A turkey has feathers and a wattle. Now, what do we need at the end of our sentence? Remember when we worked in our workbook, and remember it's that mark that tells readers to stop, called does anybody know what it's called? A period. We need to put a period at the end of our sentence. So let's go ahead and read what Mrs. R wrote. Help me read. Here we go. A turkey has feathers and a wattle. All right. Now, if you're still doing your writing, and some of you may have picked different words than mine, and that's okay. So your writing's going to look different than mine, and that's great because everybody has different choices of what they want to do. You might have chose one word. Some people might have chose 2 words. Maybe some of you like to put all of these things in there. It just depends on what you want to do. Okay, so we're at the point now where we've done our picture and we've done our writing. So now we need to do our checklist. And our checklist says, I can use a capital letter. And we used a capital letter at the beginning. When you write, you always start with a capital letter at the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to check that off. Use finger spaces, and we used a lot of finger spaces, didn't we, between our words. Sounded out a word. We sounded out the word and, didn't we? And. We wrote down the sounds we hear. We used a punctuation mark. What is this mark called again? Do you guys remember? A period. It tells the reader to stop. Okay, I circled it. And of course, we drew a picture. Wonderful. So that was our writing for today. So we can go ahead and put that away now, and I will stop sharing my screen. All right, so we worked on the letter I today. We didn't have any new sight words. You're just going to review your sight words from the ones you've learned previously. So that's going to be your work, is you can just play, you can have your parents ask them to do them as flashcards and practice with you. So yeah, we have the letter I says is. So that was our work for this week. In a couple more days, you'll have a new letter to work on. But until then, you can work on your you could do more writing in your writing books. You could go on Boom Learning and do some of those activities with the letter I. There's lots of things you could be working on, okay? So I hope you guys have a great day of learning. Work really hard for your parents at home, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.